enough people, so let's get started since we're kind of starting a little bit late. May I start with a roll call? Oh, Pledge of Allegiance. Oh, sorry. Everybody. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And now, Secretary, may I have a roll call?
Ignacio Alegre, Deborah Bates, Brent Bisley,
Here.
David Elliott,
Here.
Margie Nieder,
Here.
Patrick Porteous, Gregory Lewis,
Here.
Priscila Lubiano,
Here.
Enrique Perez,
Here.
Linda Rose,
Here.
Robert Ruiz,
Here.
Darren Rutledge,
Here.
Stacy Sanchez,
Here.
Barbara Smith, Bob Tucker,
Here.
Dennis Barnum,
Present.
Andy Wadera.
Yeah.
Thank you. We have a quorum.
Thank you. Okay, first item on the agenda is our consent calendar, and we have 3 items under that. I would entertain a motion.
So move. Second.
And any discussion? Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay. We have quite a couple things of significance on our business calendar today. The first is the work of the youth committee has reviewed the proposals and has presented recommendations on those proposals. How about we get a motion and then we can have some discussion?
Second.
Thank you, Bob and Brent. Bob, would you like to, as a member of the Youth Council, discuss this with us?
Made the request for proposal process, and but I want to thank a couple of the folks that were part of that process. Alexander, who works with our foster youth, and Jackie Russell Garcia, who's recently retired from Santa Ana Unified, worked with special need kids, and of course staff, Sandy Barbara and Deborah Sanchez, and pulling all this together. A lot of great organizations that applied, and we've narrowed it down to being able to, I believe, serving more youth with a little less money. And those organizations are the Orange County Children's Therapeutic Arts Center, which we have a long history with, Project Kinship, which is new, and the Orange County Conservation Corps. They made higher requests. They worked with us so that we could fit them in within the budget of, I think we have about $475,000, and hopefully more next year. One interesting organization is Project Kinship. They work with youth that have a criminal record and trying to get them back into the mainstream of workforce again. And I think we're seeing that with adults as well as youth. And I know Project Kinship actually shares the building with the Orange County Therapeutic Arts Center, so that's kind of convenient. But I know they're working in the school district where I live, Garden Grove Unified, and I think Santa Ana, so they're doing some really good work to help young people get back on track. Sandy, other information you'd like to share?
No, I think he pretty much covered it all. He's a little shy. He was part of the committee too and worked really diligently to help us review 8 applications and proposals. They were all fantastic. Of course, we didn't have all the money to fund all of them, but I think with the hard work that our committee did, reviewing and questioning, interviewing the applications, we were able to rank them, or they were able to rank them accordingly, which is what you're seeing in front of you, and then of course nominating the top 3 that ranked at the very top.
So it notes it's a 4-year procurement period. Does that mean that these are the youth providers for 4 years, or do you do this on an annual basis?
No, it is for the full 4 years. So every year we will do contracts with them if performance looks good and everything kind of goes smoothly. We do have the option to redo if needed. However, this allows us the opportunity to work with the 8 that were in the 4-year procurement. If we do get more funding, less funding, depending on performance, we have those candidates to choose from.
Great, okay, thank you.
And it's interesting, I heard that on the statewide level, only about 50% of the workforce development boards still have youth councils, but they're looking at maybe there's some value there and are actually starting to increase them. And you know, coming from Union, where we say an injury to one is an injury to all, that applies to our schools, applies to our youth, and not leaving folks behind. So I definitely recommend that this group approve.
Thank you.
So, just a couple of questions. So, on the ones that have internships, are those paid or unpaid internships?
They are all paid.
All paid. So that's part of the, is that part of the fee structure?
Yeah, correct.
And then are these fees that are awarded, are they per year or for a longer period?
Per year.
Per year.
1-year contract.
But in the 4-year period, if somebody doesn't perform, then the people that are in these 8 rankings would be
Move
like
up.
the next up or, exactly.
Correct.
Any other questions?
Yeah, so if we went back to last year, who were we partnering with last year?
Last year we had Orange County Conservation Board, we had Children's Therapeutic Arts Center, and we had Santa Ana Public Library.
So it just, one switched out with the library?
Correct.
Project Kinship, yeah.
Project Kinship.
That's the new one. Okay,
Yeah.
all right, any other questions? Comments? Okay, so we have a motion on the floor. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Good deal, motion passes. Okay, our next item is the subsequent local area designation and local board recertification for a 2-year period. I'm gonna ask, any comments that you wanna make on that, Deborah?
Other than it's been almost 3 years since we've recertified the board, and so the state's asking us to submit paperwork, putting all your names down, what roles you fulfill or requirements that you fulfill, which is on the action item, and resubmitting it and agreeing that we will meet the performance standards going forward, and that's it.
So that
But-
basically means you're all committed, more so than you were before, to the board.
I will do that.
Second, anybody?
Second.
Thank you. Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. Okay, moving on to our memorandum of understanding item with required partners for the Comprehensive America's Job Center of California. Basically, the recommended action is to direct staff to update the memorandum of understanding with the board and its partners, who are now co-located at the new and improved work center for a
Not
3-year
co-located.
term.
Not co-located.
Oh, not co-located, sorry. Dang, that one word. Still, the new and improved work center. They're not co-located there, but for a 3-year term expiring June 30th. And authorize myself to sign this.
I so move.
Any questions, discussion?
And you want to take a vote on each individually,
Do I?
which we can, because it's a 3-part recommended action, and so you read the first one, so
Oh,
we can take
okay.
a vote on the first one. I would like to talk about the second one anyway.
Well, let's assume the motion is for all 3, and unless there's any objections, let's assume the motion is for all 3.
Okay.
Clarification.
That's
And,
good.
Deborah?
And staff talk.
So the motion and second on the question.
There you go.
So, believe it or not, the non-financial, non-co-located partners that we did, it's been 3 years since that's been done. It was June of 2016, so it came up fast. Last month, City Council took action on the recommendation that the board made to do the financial MOUs with those that are co-located. So those are being executed right now. Sandy and some other staff are now working with the remaining non-co-located partners to relook at what was agreed to in the MOU, which was primarily referrals and partnering to serve a client that had certain needs. You know, if they needed to get served by Job Corps in Long Beach, there's a strong referral process and mechanism for that. So Sandy's starting to reach out with all of them to get those renewed. The state's asked us to have them done by June 30th for the non-financials. But in the meantime, we have 2 outlier partners who are not co-located with us, that are not required to have a MOU, but they've asked to have a partnership with us. And those are, those 2 are the Asian American Seniors, the Senior Services, Asian American Senior Citizen Service Center, which is in downtown Santa Ana. They work with seniors in our inner city.
We used to have somebody on the board for
We
that.
used to have someone on the board, but they've asked to have an MOU with us, so that's due to renew. And then high school diploma, which was called, what were they called?
Learn for Life.
Learn for Life, but they've renamed it to OC Workforce Innovation High School. That was coming up, and we wanted to bring them together so they have one same end date, so that we can renew them all 3 years from now at the same time. And then recently, if I could ask Carlos to expand on it, was approached by a nonprofit to co-locate at the One Stop. And so in order to co-locate, we use these MOUs to serve as a sublease, and that is with Home Ownership OC, and they'd like to co-locate in 1 cubicle. So that's why that one has a dollar amount on it.
Home Ownership OC is a nonprofit that began during the Great Recession as people were losing their homes and federal programs became available to help people save their homes. So they started promoting those kind of programs. They since evolved into prevention of foreclosures as well as credit counseling. They think that our site is a great place for them to market and provide assistance to people that are losing their jobs, who are, of course, like all of us, would probably fear as to, are we going to lose our house, or what am I going to do as income's not coming in. So they provide that kind of financial education and make people aware of the resources. We're very excited to have them on board. If everything works out, they'll land in July. Thank you.
So we're seeking approval to have the chair sign the MOU and then take it to the city manager's office for execution for that one.
And they'll contribute $23,000 towards their.
Over the life of the 3 years, it's about $7,000 a year to have a cubicle at the work center.
Okay. Any other discussion questions on this motion? Okay, motion on the floor, second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, abstention. All right. That is the end of our business calendar, in plenty of time for all of those that need to leave at 9 a.m. All right.
Brent Beasley.
You're up.
Brent has to
He's
leave
still
earlier
there,
than
yeah.
that, though, and so, boy, that leaves me. Okay.
Stacy's good talk.
Thank
So
you.
I'm talking today about, we're trying to get to know each other a little better, what you do, and your company, etc. So it says there, Stacy Sanchez, SoCal Investment CDFI. I'm actually Stacy Sanchez, CDC Small Business Finance.
Sorry.
CDFI is a community development financial institution. That one in particular, I was the director for at the time that I joined the board, but the Great Recession pretty much closed that organization, and it was overseen by CDC Small Business Finance, who I was really employed with. So just thought I'd throw that history out there. So CDC Small Business Finance is a private nonprofit. We're based in San Diego, and we are a SBA lender, a couple of different products. How many of you know what I mean when I say the SBA? Okay. The Small Business Administration, it's a federal agency that provides a government guarantee to lenders, allowing them to make loans that they might not otherwise be able to make based on the qualifications or the requirements on their conventional loans. Most people know that banks offer, or if you're in small business finance, you would know that most financial institutions offer SBA products or Small Business Administration products. And we are a private nonprofit. So 2 product lines. One is for the purchase of a building. So you're a small business owner and you want to buy your building, which is a great retirement strategy. The SBA 504 loan program, of which CDC Small Business Finance is the nation's largest, #1, 504 lender, allows a borrower to, a small business owner, to buy the business building that they're in for as little as 10% down, compared to a conventional product, which usually would require them to put 30% down. So without the government guarantee, they would have to put more money down, using up their working capital that they need usually to run the business. So for as little as 10% down, they can get a 25-year fixed rate, currently at about 5%, on 40% of the project. So I don't want to do basic math in my head in front of you and embarrass myself, but let's say, $1 million project, they come in with 400,000, the SBA does 400,000 of it, the borrower does 10,000, and then now they're in a great negotiating position with the bank to get a conventional loan, as we call it, meaning it doesn't have a government guarantee. The property that they're buying now has a 50% loan to value, which basically puts them in a good negotiating position with the bank to buy that piece of real estate that they might not otherwise have qualified for if the SBA wasn't willing to take a second position on that piece of property. And the idea is they pay themselves rent, right? And when they're ready to retire, they sell their business, keep the building, and then they have a nice source of income in retirement. So great opportunity. Most small businesses would not be able to afford to buy their business, or building rather, if they had to come up with a 30% down payment. So it's a great way for them to have more control over their small businesses. Now I'm on the other side of the house of CDC Small Business Finance in a program that we call the Community Loan Programs, which is a smaller loans. Basically our success in the real estate loans has helped support on my side of the house. So I do small deals by bank standards. I do loans up to 300,000, as low as 20,000 for businesses that don't qualify for bank finance. It's still an SBA government guaranteed loan. We loan our money and then we sell the loans on the secondary market. There's a whole industry of selling government guaranteed loans, and that's how we get our money back to continue to capitalize ourselves and make more loans, unlike a bank who takes deposits. So we specialize in deals that the banks won't fund, but probably should. Startup loans, small business owners who have taken out those horrific online loans that you probably see in your email or Facebook feed, get a loan tomorrow, your credit doesn't matter. So we refinance a lot of those once they realize what the daily or weekly payment requirements are on some of those loans. And we are willing to make loans to businesses that might not qualify for bank financing because of credit. Usually it's lack of time in business, or that they want too little of a dollar amount. You want to keep in mind that a financial institution, most of their people are paid on commission, and it's as much work to do a $50,000 loan as it is a $500,000 loan. And when you got people to feed, you're going to focus on the $500,000 loan, and maybe your bank doesn't even have a product for a loan under $100,000. So I've been with CDC now 16 years in September, which is unheard of in my industry. And in that time, I've always done micro lending, which is technically under 50,000, but everybody thinks if it doesn't qualify for a bank, it must be micro. So I say I do little deals, which are under 250,000, even though that's a lot of money to you and me. So if you are out there and talking to a small business owner who's in need of capital, or who's got issues with cash flow for one reason or another, CDC or an alternative lender is an option when their bank can't help them. And I work very closely with the Small Business Development Centers or SCORE as a way of getting referrals. I market to financial institutions. I go out there and tell them I'm a solution for your declines. So just my goal today was to, one, help you understand what I do, and two, to make sure you know that there are options out there as you encounter small businesses. And if you don't remember all the details, you know me, so you can just refer them to me. And if it's a deal that I think they should be at their bank with, I can help them with that as well. All right.
Nice.
Bob.
Can you share a particular success story with one of your microloans?
All kinds of those. So here in Santa Ana, The Black Market Bakery on Broadway was a startup loan. She has a couple of other locations, but because it was too soon from time that she'd opened the others, she couldn't find a bank to do the deal, and we did her startup there. Let's see, also
By the way, that's the best apple pie.
Oh, isn't it? It's great. Black Market, great stuff. Eggy sandwiches, really good. I go to the one in Costa Mesa. She has one in San Diego as well that she opened recently. So she's a great success story. In Anaheim, Anaheim Packing House, one of my favorite startup loans was Georgia's, the homestyle cooking, pulled pork, sweet potato pie, fried chicken to die for. They worked with the Small Business Development Center to get a loan. We actually declined them the first time, and they came back and then wanted to be in the packing house, and we funded that startup loan. They are currently in negotiations with the bank to take my loan out and open their second location in Long Beach. So did a little bakery in Costa Mesa. I mean, every day. It's a great, which is why I've been there 16 years. It's very fulfilling, helping people. There's lots of people I know who would not have gotten a loan had I not said, no, don't do that, and pushed them along and helped them to get the deal. We're very large credit box. It's great company to work for. Any other questions?
I can attest to her saying, don't do that, because I walked in on her a couple weeks ago and I heard her say, don't do that with your credit cards right now. You need to stay low, under the radar.
That's right.
Not right now, don't do that.
Just like a mother. But I get it done, so. All right, thanks. Well, Brent had to leave, so we'll reschedule him for another time. Let's see.
I already gave my report.
And all right, so let's do our committee reports. Bob?
I'll just stand by what I shared earlier.
That was quite a bit, so. No other committees met at that time, or since we've last met, rather. Any public comments? Staff member?
Yes, I have a couple. We've held, as 3 workforce boards, a couple sector meetings. We've held 2 meetings now with the manufacturing sector. They've formed into subgroups focusing on talent, and I can't remember the other meeting group, but they're starting to meet. Reborn Cabinets in Anaheim is hosting or leading that initiative. We've also met with the medical hospital industry, had some great energy around that. That was hosted near the St. Jude's Medical Center. Mental health came up as one of their sectors. Talent obviously was a component, but mental health was there, and one of the medical practitioners said there is a lot of money out there for mental health, and we could do better in collectively going after that money and bring it into the region to serve those that have mental health issues. So they're going to champion a part, that's going to be one of the subgroups that's going to come out of that initiative.
Great.
And the last week, the hospitality group met, and they focus talent, but also on ebbs and flows of their business. So they're going to focus 2 or 3 groups, and we'll see what their next initiative or their next meeting, what's come out from that. Next week will be the IT, and we're going to have 2 ITs. One is focusing IT as we think of IT, and I believe the Irvine Chamber of Commerce is going to host that meeting. And then there'll be a second sector that'll focus more on the IT as it relates to business services, the finance institute, or the insurance institutions. I was thinking of First American, as well as their their real estate division, and other businesses that use IT, and then the others is the computer programming, et cetera, et cetera. So they're rolling out. Staff is going to be meeting with the consultant to figure out what our next steps are for the next year, and probably tapping into some of our economic development staff to help us continue the initiatives with those companies. If anyone has a company in the IT industry, please let me know, and I will share you the invite, or I'll send the invite to that company on your behalf, so we can get them at the table. It's industry driven. Staff sits on the perimeter and listens. Community colleges have been invited to come and listen to it, but we're told not to talk. The businesses have to lead, businesses have to say what they see is going on in that industry, and they tackle it. I think soon we'll be invited to those subgroups to start to share some information, because at the hospitality that we were like, we have so many things we could tell them what's going on, but we had to wait a little bit until they took ownership of it, and then we'll come in with some resources. So instead of us flooding them saying we could do this, this, and this for you, it's like them saying we need this. Okay, well, here's this, because then they'll be listening. You know, like, okay, this is what you asked for, here it is. So those are starting to pick up steam. A couple weeks ago, Stephen and I received letters on prison to employment. The Orange region has received about $3.8 million of the governor's general fund for prison to employment to work on a region. We've identified to serve up to 350 people in a heavily work experienced OJT component to help them get into work so they have money in their pocket, taking care of also identifying, you know, food, housing, family, reconnection to family if that's possible. Probation and parole are allowing us to put staff into their offices so that we can meet with the parolees or the probationers directly in that site and start assisting them in getting them employed. It's just now rolling out. Paperwork is due back to redo the numbers, because we asked for 4.2 million, got 3.8, which I think is really good. I expected probably 50% of that ask. Orange County is the 6th largest in the state that has parole and probation officers. And the county sheriff's office says they release about 56,000 people a year from the prison system. So at a meeting I was at Tuesday, I was reminded, it is your neighbor, it's your brother, a family member. 10% of Orange County has had some kind of justice involvement. And as a state, they're saying we need to work on trying to get people reconnected. And as a couple speakers spoke at the conference who said, I was there for 7 years in jail, I was there for 24 years. I can't be on the PTA, I can't serve on my HOA, I can't be a Little League coach, I can't adopt a child. When will my time end? But you know, it's a tough nut to crack. So staff's going to get some training. We're going to start to roll that out. It's a 3-year grant, and a lot of eyes are on it because it's the first in the nation of a state putting general funds into this to do a workforce and embracing them holistically and trying to take care or make sure they get in front of resources to help them with whatever it is. So I wanted to bring you aware of that. And then the one-stop partnerships. Almost all the partners are now moved into the one-stop center. EDD, the final wave of EDD moved in early April. And so we had an additional 7 people join us. So we appreciate them. In fact, we have 2 of the newbies, as I call them, Piandre and Steven. And Dennis, I apologize if I took your presentation. So they're attending their first workforce board meeting, and they're housed at the Santa Ana Work Center. So we appreciate having them. And social services will be the last ones to move in, and I'm hoping sometime in June they should be in. The memorandum of understanding is at the city manager's office for signature, and then they'll sign it. The Board of Soups approved it last week as well, so we'll be virtually full. I think we just have 3 cubicles left that are available. So, Carlos?
I got a brief report in regards to the training results. As you know, we spend, we spend about 30% of our funds on training. What you're seeing in front of you are the results of those folks that finished training in 2018, calendar year 2018, anytime from January to December. It takes about 3 months to get the final results out. That's why you're just getting it now, while people are looking for work. We clustered the categories around the priority sectors. We focus on healthcare, manufacturing, information technology. But I also included paraprofessional category, which reflects those folks that could pretty much get a job in any industry, like human resource specialists, payroll specialist certification, those kind of things. What this is showing is strictly entry-level wages. As you know, most of the folks that are coming through the work center are changing careers. So when they go out and get a job, they don't have work experience, and experience is pretty much king when you're trying to get a job, right? But this helps them get a foot in the door. But just for example, I just was doing, I did a quick research on Indeed.com, which is a job search website for manufacturing. I looked up machinist, a CNC machinist. A CNC machinist with 5 years experience can earn $32 an hour. You know, our ranges are between 14 and 44. But if you're asking yourself, well, that's the range, what's the median, what's the average? I got that too, it just did reflect it on here. I reflected the range just so you can see the high-end wages that some of our folks have gotten, and we were very proud of some of the folks getting these stats. But in terms of the median or even the average wages, healthcare is about $17 an hour, manufacturing is about $17 an hour, information technology is about $22, and the paraprofessional is about $17 an hour, clustered around $17 an hour in terms of the median and average wages. But again, let me just say, these are entry-level wages. As they get the experience, their earning power will increase significantly. That's pretty much it, guys. Any questions?
Youth job fair?
What's
The
that?
youth job fair?
Youth job fair. That's kind of, you know.
Okay,
I don't
never
want to
mind.
take.
I will stop.
Dennis's thunder.
I apologize. to
So,
that.
thanks, Carlos.
Yeah.
And, you know, also on your chart here, if you notice the dip and then the rise, that probably had, as far as total visitors to the center, that probably has a lot to do with the opening.
Oh, yeah.
Opening grabs.
You know, I did it for the last 90 days. This was a snapshot that I took in March at the end of the quarter.
Okay.
Why did it reflect? We had a little snafu with our what we call our
The Cal Jobs Boss Greeter?
the
Yeah, the
greeter.
bus greeting was down.
And then
Greeter is
3
where
days or
where
so.
people check in, and there was about a month or so where it wasn't capturing all the data for whatever reason. It wasn't our fault. It was somewhere up in the state servers.
Yeah.
So that's where you see the dip.
Yeah, in that boss greeter, the state was working on getting that set up properly the way that it was down for about 30, 60 days, or 30 days. So, thanks a lot for the information. Since our last meeting, we had a wonderful Santa Ana Youth Job Fair. Now, that's the title of the Youth Job Fair over the number of years. We try to incorporate the whole county, but that's the title, and that's what we fondly call it. Again, it was I think it was the 26th year. It's one of our annual events for the Santa Ana Centers, and it just was fabulous. It was held at one of the local high schools, and I think it was Century High School, and I tell you, that's a great high school. I mean, that thing is huge. It's a very large high school, and we had about 50 employers, and the support was just fabulous. We had support from the local schools, especially the local employers, Wolf Lodge, Disney, Amazon. So there were also corresponding workshops for the youth that came through, and it was a little under 400, about 357 youth that came through. With many of them had their parents with them, so it was a very good event, and we look forward to see some of the summertime hires that are going to come from this, because typically we do get quite a few. There were some on-site hires as well, so thank you to the Santa Ana Job Center and all the staff, their business service staff that helped work on that, and it was a great event, and we're looking forward to it next year, bigger and better.
And, kudos to Santa Ana Unified School District, because we hadn't held a job fair at a high school, and I don't think I ever remember it holding at a high school. And they stepped up to the plate. There was a little, little things here and there, but I think if we do it again at a high school, which I think totally makes sense, you go where the youth are, right? I do think this is the start of a great relationship in terms of the youth job fair at a local high school.
Thank you. Any other staff comments? How about the board? Anybody on the board have any comments you'd like to make besides Dennis? Okay.
About 6 months ago, we launched what we call a Santa Ana Task Force. And Stephen's part of that and Deborah's part of that. We've had 2 quarterly meetings, and the basic idea there is bringing major stakeholders and leaders in Santa Ana together to be in the room together to kind of share some of the concerns and ideas, potential solutions to some major issues within Santa Ana. So we're having our 3rd meeting next Tuesday at Temple of Calvario at 11:30 to 1:30. If any of you are interested in being a part of that task force, we have about 40 people that are initially involved in that task force. And out of our last meeting, we identified 5 areas. So we have 5 focus areas. So we have committees. Deborah's on a committee, Stephen's on a committee as well. So we have committees that are focused on mentoring and youth. There's a committee focused on housing, another focused on economic development and asset mapping, and I'm trying to remember the 5th one. Didn't bring it with me, but anyway, if any of you are interested in that, you can let me know or just show up. Lunch is provided, and we will be having an initial report from each of those committees chairs as to where they're going with within their designated area of concern and need. So this is a model that was started about 12 years ago in a small city in Northern California called Sanger, where today they have over 400 members of their in their community that are part of this task force that meets. Their task force meets every other week. And we said we're not going to do that in Santa Ana. So ours is a quarterly within the committee's meeting outside of that. So Temple Calvario this next Tuesday, the 21st, 11:30 to 1:30. We'll give you some lunch. But let us know if you'd like to be a part of that.
So there's sure to be enough food for you.
So that's why most people come to this meeting.
Hey, whatever gets them there. Okay, anybody else? Linda.
On June 7th, Santa Ana College will be graduating its first ever bachelor's degree graduate in occupational studies. There's 23 graduates, and we're the only bachelor's degree program at a community college in occupational studies. So we have 23
Is it
graduates.
tied with Cal State Fullerton?
No,
No,
it's a standalone bachelor's degree program.
Really?
That's awesome.
So Linda, is there any plans for any additional 4-year baccalaureate program?
Yeah, but they have to be approved by the state, because we're authorized by the state to grant a bachelor's degree. So right now, there are efforts behind the scenes to make this a permanent thing, because there is a sunset date. So, but right now, we are the only game in town for OTA, occupational therapy assistants, who want to go on with their education, and then they can transition into a master's degree program at Cal State LA, Dominguez Hills, but it's one of the fastest growing jobs.
In healthcare.
Yeah, in healthcare. Highly paid.
Can I put you on the spot? If there were a second program, what would that be from Santa Ana College? Do you know?
It would probably be either around auto, maybe
Makes sense.
welding.
That welding was the other one I was
Yeah,
thinking.
maybe welding, yeah.
Okay, cool.
All right. Well,
Did
thank
you hear that, Amy?
Graduation is June 7th at,
Did you hear that, Darren?
All right.
in Westfield.
You know what? I got one
Okay,
more.
go
You know, I'm also the chairman of the Orange County Fair Board, and we're in the hiring process right now. So if you guys know any youth who are interested in fair jobs, we're going to hire about 1,400 people here
Both my kids
starting.
have already applied.
Nice. Have them apply online.
They worked
Yes.
Yes, they did. They
We're
worked
reaching
there
out
last
to the
year.
high schools here in Santa Ana, especially Anaheim, to get some of the youth
They were at the
employed.
job fair.
Yes, good.
They
So
pay well.
Yes.
Good place to, I
And
mean,
Robert, I
very
just
pleasant.
had lunch with Kathy last week.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Our
had a
CEO,
very good
yes.
Conversation about trying to integrate more of Santa Ana.
Yes, yes.
Fairgrounds.
Yeah, good jobs, and you know, it's a lot of fun.
It's fun.
Pleased to know that we now know the chair of the fair board too. I mean, there's been several times where I'm like, who is on the fair board?
That's
So
me.
So you just want the tickets.
I'm gonna come at you.
There you
No,
go,
I
not a
live
problem.
I live a mile from the fair.
Oh, do you really?
personally, yeah,
Oh, nice.
yeah.
Go ahead.
And regarding the, speaking of the fairgrounds.
Huge fair fan.
They were actually, I can't speak enough about what, they were offered a space there for the youth job fair as well. So it was just, there's a connection with the state as well, but they offered a space there and they were extremely welcoming.
Good,
So
good, thank you.
that's definitely
Good to hear.
a good resource.
You know, I'm a huge fan.
Thank you.
Okay, well, please note on your calendars that our next meeting is July 18th. I will not be available that day. So Dave, please make sure you mark it on your calendar. Because you will need you to run. And then somebody left their glasses?
Drop them.
They're
Drop
Nike.
them rather.
It's a Nike brand.
Check your purse. Wallet.
Brent,
Maybe Brent,
Thinking
yeah.
they're Brent's, because he
I found him right
left
here.
in a hurry and I know he was wearing some. So. Okay, meeting adjourned. Thank you so
All right.
much.